And we are on. Hey guys, what's up? Rolf here with Rolf and Corinne. Corinne is not joining me on this one. This is a little different format than what you're used to, the other instructional videos, but I figured this made a lot of sense. In this class, we're talking about how to learn music structure, and I needed something to write on to explain this more easily for you so you can more easily understand it. And I was debating whether to do it like this or to pull out the whiteboard and try to film myself writing on a whiteboard, but I think this just makes a lot of sense. This gets the message across much better. So let's dive into it. So the goals of this class is that you're going to learn to identify the energy of the phrase change. You're going to understand music structure, especially knowing when the last 8 counts start, and I'll get back to why that is important. Second of all, you should be able to break down a song by listening to it and writing it up, and to have that as a musical map. And third of all, you need to you're going to know how to recognize when the intro of a song ends. So a little theoretical, but this is like the step 1 when it comes to understanding music and eventually adapting your own dancing to the music. Once I learned musicality, once I learned to dance so that I was showing off the musicality, oh my God. Well, first of all, I was having so much more fun. It just makes so much more sense when you're doing stuff and it matches the music. Second of all, the partner loves it, because if me as a leader, the followers would be like, oh my God, you're setting me up for all these moments. It's great. And third of all, like my competition results just skyrocket out of there, because all of a sudden I was doing something that none of the other people in my division was doing at that time. So knowing how to dance to a song I feel like it's a superpower. It's so good once you know these stuff. And the first step to knowing how to dance to a song like that is understanding how songs are built. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. So this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to talk a little bit about why it's important. And then we're going to get to contemporary music structure versus blues music structure. We're going to talk about the intro, like I said, when the intro ends, talk about the last 8 counts. And then I have an example of Ed Sheeran that I'll pull up of a song of his, so that I'll go through how you can map the song, and then so that you can do it by yourself. So let's get into it. I talked a little bit about why I think it's important to know this. And at this point, for me and for Corinne too, it's intuitive when the phrase change happens in the music, because we've already worked so much with this stuff, the musical structure. And that's where you want to get at. But in order to get to that point where it's kind of just like, it almost happens automatically, you don't have to think that much about it, you have to practice it. That's the way to get to that intuitive place. And this is the step to do that. What's also great about knowing musical structure is that once you know it, I find myself dancing to songs I've never heard before, but all of a sudden I'm able to hit the big breaks in the music. I can just tell when they're coming because I know this. So even though I've never heard this song, if you saw me dancing to one of those songs, you might be like, oh, wow, looks like he knows the song. And quite frankly, I don't some of the times. So that's why it's important. Now, here, let me show you contemporary music structure versus blues music structure. So let's talk about count music versus patterns, right? So when we count music, just take it all the way back. When we count music, we count from 1 to 8. So we count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we start a new 8. And the music that we're dancing to is built up in bulks of 8. It makes sense to count it like that. However, in West Coast Swing, when we start to dance, we count the patterns, right? We count 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. And they kind of stop here. So West Coast Swing compared to other dances have like patterns that doesn't automatically fit the musical structure. Other dances do that. So that's kind of how we count music. Now, as you can see on top here, I've written contemporary music structure, contemporary meaning modern pop songs, most of the stuff we listen to now. And then I've written blues music structure here on the below. So generally speaking, these are like general rules. It does not mean that sometimes some songs break them, because they do, but these are like general rules. Contemporary music is built up with 4 sets of 8. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 8. That is like a phrase in contemporary songs usually. Whereas in blues music, it's 6/8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/8 is like one chapter, one phrase of blues music. So that's a difference between the two of them. Now, after one phrase, or at the very first beat of one phrase, so this one right here, I'm going to mark that in, let's do it in red, and the very first beat of this blues stuff. The start of the phrase, the very first beat, 1, that is the beat that we call the phrase change. Because before that, you had something, another phrase, and then the start of the next phrase, that is the phrase change. The reason we want to know the phrase change is because we're going to hear a big change in the music. It can be a little different. It can be 3 things. It can be either like a stop, or it can be like a bleed out. It's called legato, or it can be a pulse. So like it starts, but you can feel like there's a change in energy. You hear there's something different. So that's called the phrase change, the start of the phrase. So it starts with a phrase change, and then it goes through here all the way, all the 4 bits, and then say in a contemporary song, it would be another one happening right here. That's very small. Let's pull that up. Okay. There'll be another one happening right there, and that would be the next phrase change. Yeah, so we all know where the phrase change is. Now, there's something we call the mid phrase. That is the middle of the phrase. It's marked in yellow here in contemporary music and in blues music. It's the middle of the phrase. It's like consider it a phrase change, but just very small, very small. The most important stuff is to know the phrase change. It's nice to know the mid phrase because we might be talking about that in another video. At least that's where it is. So phrase change, mid change. Okay, cool. We got that. Contemporary music versus blues music. Contemporary music is structured in 4/8, blues in 6/8. We're going to focus on contemporary music for now. There are a lot of blues music tends to break the rules more than contemporary music do. We're going to make we have another class on the 4 types of phrasing to blues music that we'll be filming eventually. So they just break it more. So we're going to stick with contemporary for now. Okay, let's get to intro. The intro of a song can be the following. You can have 4 different types of intros. It's either there's no intro, the song just starts right away. The second of all, you can have 8 counts of intro, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or you can have 16 counts of intro or 32 counts of intro. I've written here some songs. If you want to look that up right now, you can just go to YouTube or Spotify or whatever and pull up Something About You by Elderbrook. There's no intro, it just starts right away. 8 counts of intro if you listen to Language by Betty Who. It's like a modern upbeat song. 8 counts of intro, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the song starts. 16 counts of intro is Shape of You. We're going to break that down in a second. And 32 counts of intro, Let Me Love You by Mario. It's like a whole phrase of intro before he starts to sing. Yeah? So that would look like I was talking about now, if it was no intro, it would just start right away. Boom. If it was 1/8 of intro, it would look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then start of the phrase. If it was 2/8, it would look like this, and then the intro being in yellow, obviously. And then if it was 4 sets of 8s, it would look like this before. Yeah. I haven't really come across any songs that has 3/8 of intro. Maybe there's an odd one here or there. I just haven't come across it. So I just find that these are the normal types of intros that you get in terms of counts. Now, instead of knowing each and every song, you're the song starts to play and you're like, oh yeah, this is 2 beats of two sets of 8 of intro. It's more reasonable to think about it this way. You can identify the intro in 3 ways. The intro is over when they start singing, when they start singing the lyrics. The intro is also over if some repetition ends, and the intro is also over with the introduction of something new. So for your homework after this class, which I will get to, when you listen for the intro, if they start singing, you'll be like, okay, that's the end of the intro, new phrase. If they stop repeating something, if they went like la, 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 la in the intro, and that's all of a sudden stopped, or that was taken away, that also means the intro is over. And then third, if they introduce something new, sometimes it's the introduction of drums and beats. It can also be other things. So those 3 things are the 3 ways of identifying when the intro is over. Okay, moving on. The last 8 counts of a phrase. As you can see here, I've highlighted the last 8 counts of a phrase. The reason I've done that is because we want to hit the phrase change. The phrase change here is marked in red. It's that beat. Boom. That's when we want to accent and hit the phrase change. The reason we want to know the 8 counts before that, the last 8 counts, is because when we know we're there, that gives us time to set up the phrase change. If we start too soon, like if we started in the middle of the phrase, like, okay, now I know I have 16 or actually 17 counts before the phrase change, it is just too much planning, especially for us as leaders. It's like, it's too far ahead. So what you want to get to eventually is that when you're listening to a song and you hear the last 8 starting to happen, you want that to be like a notification or like a bell ringing. It's like you're dancing and all of a sudden you just hear like a ring, you know you're on the last 8, because that should mean like, okay, time to set up this phrase change and work about it. I know some people start earlier. They're like after the mid phrase, they'll start thinking about it. So you're like dancing the first 2 8s kind of like with your partner as a leader, from a leader's perspective, dancing the first 2 8s with the partner, allowing her to come up with stuff. And then the last 2 8s you spent on setting up the pattern so that you hit the phrase change. But personally, I think a great start is just the last 8, because if you can just get a notification of that, you will either start your pattern here on the 1 or on the 3 or on the 5 or on the 7. And sometimes you end up just going triple step on the 7 and 8 right before the phrase change, like 7, 8, and then you like right on the phrase change. So another class we're going to do is going to be how to always hit the phrase change by using math. And that kind of relies a little bit upon knowing when, in order to get that right, you need to know the last 8. And from there, it's just applying a pattern of either 9, 7, 5, or 3 counts, or even 0 counts, just like an anchor opening and doing something. We'll get to that. Okay, so that's why you want to know the last 8 counts of a phrase change. Now we're going to get to the Ed Sheeran example of, I've already broken that down, and then I'm going to give you some homework after that. So here we go. Ed Sheeran, the song is Shape of You. I'm in love with the shape of you. I guess you've heard that. I chose that one because I think it's fairly popular. At least it used to be. So I guess you've heard that. Now, this is how the song is broken down when I've written it. When I've written like the map of the song. First of all, it starts off with 2 sets of 8 as an intro, like I've written here. Also, if you want to play the song right now and kind of listen to it as I go through it, you totally can. I'm not going to do that because of like copyright strikes, or I'm afraid of that. So I'm not going to do it right now. However, so 2 sets of 8s as an intro. Then the first verse starts. 32 beats, first verse. Then there's like a pre-chorus. Let me look up the lyrics real quick, what they're singing there. So it's Shape of You lyrics. So right, the first verse starts with like the club isn't the best place to find a lover, so the bar is where I go, right? Let me pull this over here real quick. So that's where it starts. Yeah. And then this is the pre-chorus. Girl, you know I want your love, right? That's the pre-chorus happening right here. And then they start here, boom. I'm in love with the shape of you. Push and pull like a magnet, dude, and start singing that all the way through the chorus. And the chorus kind of has actually two phrases is actually the chorus. So it's total of 1, 2, 3, 4 8s, total of 8 8s is the chorus. The second part of the chorus is when he starts singing, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, right? And after that, it ends up going down, and then it starts with the second verse right here. So feel free to maybe make a screenshot of this. You have Shape of You, you have intro, first verse, pre-chorus, chorus 1, chorus 2, and then the second verse. And then listening to the music, counting it like this. So right away, you're going to hear, as the intro starts, the melody, and then he starts singing here. That would be the phrase change here. Just like, boom, you hear the phrase change, yeah? Chorus, etc. Okay? You got your screenshot, you're all good. So go back to this when you get to your homework assignment, which I'm going to show you in a second. Right, so what you want to practice now is that pick a song, pick a contemporary song, and do what I did. So write up numbers from 1 to 8. It's nice to do it digitally because you can just easily move around and split 8s when you're counting. It makes it a little bit easier. When you're writing on paper, it's easy to write really ugly numbers also. So do like this, but you want to, whatever song you choose, you want to match it. You want to match it to this. Or you want to match it, let me be super clear. You want to match it to the song. So I know that when I listen to Ed Sheeran, Shape of You, it matches this. But if I were to pull up another song, like, I don't know, Intrigued by Nico and Vince, Intrigued by Nico and Vince, I know that song, I'm not sure that would match completely. I do know just from the top of my head that song also has 2/8 of an intro. But apart from that, I'm not sure if it matches fully. So pick your song, write it up like this, and figure out where's the intro, where's the verse, is there a pre-chorus or like a bridge or a chorus? How is the song structured? So write up the intro, the verses, the choruses, right? Then as you're listening, try to listen and get a feel for when is the last 8 happening. As you're listening, ooh, that's the last 8. Because you want that as a trigger for your dancing, so that when you're dancing, you're like, you can set it up. And then try listening to, once you've done it with one song, try a few more and see if you can spot some similarities in between that. And then you'll, write up a few songs, see if, compare them, put them next to each other. Are they similar? Are they not? And I think what you'll find is that there are a lot of similarities. Like this song map might be identical to another song. It's basically just like a 2/8 of intro, and then it's like 4/8 of building blocks after that. And that's what's so great about contemporary music, is that it's all built very similarly. So once you kind of know this stuff, bring it on, you can just dance a lot of songs. Before you get it intuitive, you have to work it like this. That's what I found with myself and all the people that I've worked with before. Teaching them this is like, do this, and then you get it more into your body and into your system, and it just becomes more intuitive. Again, this is step 1, understanding music, learning to recognize the changes in music and counting like this. And then we're going to teach you some other stuff when it comes to, okay, which patterns to do, how to dance this stuff also. So energy of a phrase change. The song goes up, it builds up. Try to listen for the energy of the song too. Song goes up, 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 chorus. Usually it's at its highest on the chorus, and then it drops a little bit down to the verse before it builds back up again to the second chorus. Let's talk quickly about the energy of the song as we wrap up. The song starts low. It is highest at its chorus when the song is singing, when Ed Sheeran is singing, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, then the energy of that chorus is higher than when it drops down to the second verse. So it starts low, builds up to the chorus, then it drops down to the second verse again. Maybe it doesn't drop all the way down at where it started, but it drops a little bit. I just want you to keep that in mind, because we're going to get to that later in terms of how to build the dance, which is for another lesson. But you also want to learn to recognize the energy of the song, the energy of the phrase change. Is the phrase change, boom, high energy? Does it go up? Does it go up on the next one? And when does it drop? Because when it drops, spoiler alert, we want to match that with our music. All right, I think that wraps it up. So if we recap the goals real quick here, identify the energy of the phrase change, just what I talked about. Understanding musical structure, especially knowing the last 8 beats. I think that's good. Being able to break down a song by listening and writing it up. Again, this serves as a map, as a general map of a song, and recognize when the intro ends. I think we covered all of those things. Good luck with the homework. Let us know how that goes, and see you in the next lesson.